The sailing boat, a century ago the lifeblood of commerce and travel, today the source of sport and pleasure for millions. From the great ocean races to the simple weekend sailor, its enjoyment is available to all, men or women, with no restriction on age or size. Yacht racing, as in any other sport, relies on youth for its future. And in recent years, the number of young sailors has mushroomed in a remarkable way. And the dream of each youngster to be an ocean racing skipper.
Well, everything's pretty well set up, all the gear's ready. All we've got to do is go out and make the best use of the wind while we've got it. And let's get as much territory up on them as we can before this drops out.
Phil Deaton, owner-skipper of Bacchus D, the sailor and his yacht. And close nearby, the Mercedes, Australia's top competitor in the successful challenge for the Admiral's Cup, with preparations under the supervision of owner-skipper Ted Kaufman.
Up here, a little bit more water, mate. Hang on, Fred. Let me get in here. Tell you what, there's a fair bit of...
Yeah, that's right, just had it. There's a fair bit of flying on.
I'm glad we came up.
Huh?
I'm glad we came up.
Yeah.
A lot better than I thought it was.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, right, we're about...
Well, you go down here again, Fred.
The main overseas challenge for the Sydney Hobart race will come firstly from Eric Tabali's Penduic 3, the famous 59-foot schooner from France. Penduic, winner of most of the world's classic races, and Fidelis, the 61-foot sloop from New Zealand, are the favourites for line honours. Skipper Jim Davin piloted Fidelis to be first across the line in 1966, and he heads a strong New Zealand contingent, which includes Rainbow 2, outstanding in the Southern Cross Cup. And now, early morning on Boxing Day, and between 6 o'clock and 7:30, the Cruising Yacht Club Marina at Rushcutter Bay becomes a hive of activity. Less than 4 hours to go. Finally, all aboard for the great adventure, and at exactly 11 o'clock. The starter, Mr. R.W. Askin, Premier of New South Wales. And now a glorious view of yachting history as the largest ever field of 67 moves up Sydney Harbour, aided by a moderate southerly of 10 to 12 knots. Kararangi, New Zealand's 62-foot cutter and largest yacht in the field, leads Penduic in the prestige race for the heads. Closer behind, smaller in size but not in performance, Mercedes sail number 450. And then confusion. A marker buoy has drifted from its mooring, a frantic search by competitors, and a jumble of spectator boats until the buoy is located near Bradley's Head. The new endeavour adds a touch of Australian history as Fidelis, in the background, and Penduic, number 4279, come through the heads ahead of Bacchus D. A sensational start, and in the mix-up, some yachts lost valuable ground. Kararangi, for example, from 1st to 21st because of the missing buoy. Out through the heads, and Mr. Christian has sail problems to add to the hazards of the harbour start. For the spectators, all this was spectacular to the extreme, and it seems that all of Sydney has come out to watch them go. Out on the open sea, and the long haul to Hobart more than 600 miles away. After all the heavy traffic in the harbour, the crew of Penduic have only the dwellers of the deep to keep them company. On board, it's action stations for the crew, a reminder that teamwork is as important as anything else. Penduic making great progress and some way behind Camelot, the 36-foot sloop from Sydney, which was second on handicap in 1965. And from Victoria, Serena, the 42-foot sloop, which was launched only 2 months before this race. Now the pulse of the Sydney-Hobart organisation starts to beat, and the nerve centre, the Caltex radio relay vessel, Valley High.
Rainbow 002 908.
Valley High will accompany the yachts to Hobart, and all crews will be in constant contact throughout the race. On board, the crews can hear the evening report, and all yachts are aware of their relative position. And so daylight ends with the sunset forming a beautiful background to Corinna under sail.
A gale warning issued at 0500 at Greenwich Mean Time. Area affected, waters 39 to 50.
As the race progresses, attention turns to the finishing point, and at Hobart, the press room is the focal point of Australia-wide interest. And the big news is the two-way battle for line honours between Penduick and Fidelis.
Penduick 4214840. Fidelis 4147.
Well, she's catching up.
Fidelis in second place after challenging for the lead for 3 days. Skipper Jim Davin finds conditions calm and easy in direct contrast to the old salt's forecast of heavy going. The bulk of the fleet now is 50 miles back in smooth water in Bass Strait. Wathara, the 36-foot sloop which represented Australia in the 1-ton cup, sail number A2. The Tasmanian Norla, her 8th Sydney-Hobart start with a 5th placing in 1960. Ataman, also from Tasmania, raced by Jeff Teasdale, a new entry. The Victorian 42-foot sloop Serena, also competing in her first Hobart race. From Sydney, the yawl Katrina, designed like Dame Patty by Warwick Hood. The 37-foot sloop Joy 2, making her 3rd appearance in the race. Adria from South Australia, alphabetically first in the fleet, and first for surprises is New Zealand's Rainbow. Saturnita and the skipper, Ron Wilkie. Followed here by Silesia. The Queensland entry, Mr. Christian. Ahead of the main bulk of the fleet, Mercedes has maintained her place in the first 5 yachts and may be the best performed Australian entry. On board the small 31-foot sloop Cavalier of New South Wales, whose record includes a second on handicap in 1963. And Corroboree, the 40-foot sloop from New South Wales. All of these yachts are in sight of the east coast of Tasmania. And at the same time, the outright leader, Penduick, is about to make a remarkably smooth entry into Storm Bay. In second place, Fidelis has closed up the gap and in the very light winds has made up 25 miles in one night. Now the drama of the Derwent. Penduick completely becalmed only a few miles from the finish. Is this a repeat of 1962 when Astor was becalmed for 8 hours and Ondine caught and passed her to win by 1 minute? Fidelis is still making good headway, and the margin at this stage is less than 5 miles. Up ahead, a breath of wind at last, and the crew springs into action as Penduick starts to move. The news has spread rapidly, and a huge crowd has gathered to welcome the big French yacht. Line honours for 1967 to Penduick 3, skippered by Eric Tabali. Elapsed time, 4 days, 4 hours, 10 minutes, 31 seconds, well outside the record. Fidelis will cross the line in second place, 2 hours and 26 minutes behind Penduick. Mercedes finishes fourth across the line, just behind Kararangi and just in front of Silesia. But the big surprise is yet to come. New Zealander Rainbow, after passing 7 yachts in one night, could take handicap honours away from Penduick. Rainbow crosses the line 7th ahead of Huon Lass and A74, Myth of Arran. Mr. Christian, number 11, and Matika, 528, stage a private battle, with Mr. Christian finishing in 10th place, approximately 18 hours behind Penduick. Matika, 11th across the line, finished a good third on handicap. Back in Storm Bay, Bacchus D is feeling the brunt of the heavy weather, which sprung up after the leaders had passed through. Compare the violence now to the mild calm when Penduick was at this point some hours earlier. Cruising Yacht Club Commodore Mr. Norman Ridge at the helm of Loretta Maria, coming towards the finish. And in Storm Bay, the new competitor from South Australia, Adria. Fare thee well will be glad to say goodbye to Storm Bay. The appearance of the Caltex radio relay vessel Bally High near the finish is a sure indication that the 1967 Sydney-Hobart race is drawing to a close. Still they come in. Camelot about to cross the line. While at Constitution Dock, the crew members relax and relive the race. The men from Satanita, a New Zealand crew, happy because their countrymen performed so well. September Song, sailed by the Palmer family, father and 2 sons. And the handicap winner from New Zealand, Chris Bozade, successful on his 37-foot sloop Rainbow 2. Corrected time, 3 days, 16 hours, 39 minutes, 15 seconds. And now the presentation night, the host, His Excellency, the Governor of Tasmania, Sir Charles Gardner. And the prizes now, and first of all, the handicap winner, Mr. Chris Bozade, skipper of Rainbow 2. And next, the line honours winner, the skipper of Penduick, Mr. Eric Tabali. And the final speaker, on behalf of the Cruising Yacht Club, Mr. Norman Ridge, to end another Sydney to Hobart yacht race.